Nation, and welcome to another Top 10 video. This time we are talking about TV. I've seen a lot more TV than a certain somebody has. And I love watching TV. TV is one of my favorite things I do on my YouTube channel. And so yeah, we got a lot of good shows to talk about. Probably some that, but you know, they're all enjoyable. At least some people think so. So since I'll go through how we do this again. He does honorable mentions. I'll do honorable mentions. 10 through 6, 10 through 6, 5 through 2, 5 through 2, one at the same time. That's it. All right, Randy Cage, you started off first this time.
All right. My first honorable mention is a show I literally just finished like an hour ago. That is Wednesday on Netflix. This is the newest Addams Family concoction. We've had a lot of different versions of the Addams Family. Some I remember, some I don't. I think there was an animated movie last year. Didn't watch that. But, you know, a lot of people know the story. They know the Addams Family story. They know the snap, you know, all the good stuff. And so when this movie or this show came out, everybody was talking about it. I wanted to see what and it's good. It's good. It feels kind of Cobra Kai to me with certain things. It's definitely a teen drama during some of it. There's a love triangle, but her character is hilarious. Jenna Ortega, I think is her name, who plays Wednesday Addams.
Oh, that's where I've been seeing her.
Yeah, and she's been all over like TikTok and stuff here lately with the dance that she does on episode 4. But her character is really funny. It's and it's just her. It kind of has a Harry Potter feel. She goes to this school for outcasts. There's a murder. She's trying to solve the murder. It's kind of the gist of the show, but she has this best friend who's a werewolf. It's good TV, and I'm looking forward to see what they do in the future. I've heard that it's already got greenlit for another season, and that we're going to get more of the Addams Family, because that is one of the things. There's one episode where we bring the family in, but other than that, it's mainly focused on her. And my favorite parts were the stuff about the different family members and stuff, and the history of the Addams Family. So. Reality TV. I'm still a sucker for it. I loved this last season of Survivor, but what really just grabbed me this summer, and I think it's just because I don't know what it is really, but I freaking loved Big Brother season 24 this summer. It was, and it's only been probably like 3 or 4 years since I rewatched all of Big Brother.
Last year.
Yeah, maybe it was last year. Yeah, and so. I freaking love this show, and I love this season, and is it reality TV? Sure, but I don't know. I was never more hooked. I watched the podcasts, and the Rob has a podcast, did like a daily live feeds update. Watched every single one of them. I was hooked this summer. So, and then my final honorable mention is Tales of the Jedi, which was this little series of shorts that came on Disney Plus. I wasn't really expecting much out of them. I kind of loved it. It has the Clone Wars kind of animation. We got backstories on Ahsoka and Dooku. And it was beautifully animated. I hope we get more stories like this on other characters. For me, the only problem I really had with it was way too short. I wanted more of it. But it was great. Some of the best Star Wars this year. So those are my honorable mentions.
Okay, so I mean, I haven't watched Wednesday. I've been seeing people go crazy about it. Don't have Netflix.
It's the most popular Netflix show ever, which is insane to me.
Okay. Jenna Ortega, she was in Scream, the new Scream movie.
Yeah.
And she's also in that movie X.
She's in You. It's another Netflix show that I watch.
Sure.
She's been in a lot of stuff here lately.
Yeah.
She's also supposedly dating that one dude from SNL who dates all attractive women. I can't remember his name.
# respect.
Yeah. So.
Big Brother. I mean, I just don't believe in putting reality TV in the top 10 TV shows. There's so much good television out there.
You've done it before.
And the reason why you have this on your list is because you spend too much time watching reality TV and watching podcasts about reality TV. You don't get a chance to watch more TV shows.
You've had reality TV on your list
I
before.
don't think I have.
You have.
Not lately.
We'll go back in time. Well, it hasn't been as good.
And Tales of the Jedi, I liked 4 out of the 6 episodes. And I loved all the Dooku stuff, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a lot, so I don't feel like I could really even qualify in my top 10.
It's about an hour and a half total.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I finished it in an afternoon.
yeah, I did too.
All right, all right. My honorable mentions. My first honorable mention is The Boys. I love The Boys. I think this 3rd season is better than the last season. I was kind of a little mixed on the 2nd season of The Boys, but it was cool seeing the boys getting superpowers. It was cool seeing Giancarlo Esposito back as the CEO of. I mean, he's great. I mean, he's good at one thing, and I'm hoping he'll get a more heroic role sooner rather than later. And I really liked. Captain America version. What was it?
Oh gosh, now I can't remember his name because I keep wanting to say Peacemaker. That's not it.
Yeah, I was
something
like,
like that.
So, but yeah, he was cool, and it's kind of interesting to learn who he's related to. I really enjoyed The Boys. It's worthy as honorable mention. Just there are some other shows that bumped it out. My second honorable mention, I binged this show, so it's kind of hard to mix up the last season with the entire series when you binge stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that is What We Do in the Shadows. I'm not one to ever have really like sitcom or comedy series in my top 10. But if you have not checked out What We Do in the Shadows, I know you haven't watched it, but you would love this show. Like it is like The Office. It has that Office kind of style, and I don't like The Office, but What We Do in the Shadows is hilarious. Like the comedy is great about these vampires who are living in Staten Island and
Like modern day time. I'm
yes.
guessing.
So and then they have like a film crew that's filming them. So it's very like The Office. And then you have one of their familiars who basically takes care of the house, gets rid of all the dead bodies that the vampires lure in as they kill them. And the comedy is just hilarious. It's better than the movie, which the original movie was Taika Waititi's first movie he ever made. So I recommend. And
Does he have anything to do with the show? Or?
Yes, he's a producer, and he also shows up in this show a couple times. So yeah, I recommend What We Do in the Shadows. And my final honorable mention is Barry. Barry is a great show. Bill Hader. It reminds me of Dexter, just a little more comedic at times. I'm really curious to see what they do with Barry because the ending of the season was very interesting. It's been a couple years since we've seen it. I don't think it's as good as the first 2 seasons because the first 2 seasons of Barry was incredible. And the 3rd season was fine, but I'm curious to see where we go in the future. So, yeah, Barry, awesome. Check it out.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen What We Do in the Shadows or Barry, but The Boys. We'll talk about here in a minute.
All right.
My number 10 is Cobra Kai. This is the 5th season of a show I got into last year, I think, right before the 4th season came out. And you were one of the ones that was like, you gotta watch this show. You are like that with a lot of shows, so it's hard to watch them all. Only so much time in the world. But I do love this show. I kind of don't think I like this season as much as I liked the last season. Because it's a little more campy, it's a little cheesier. There's times when I'm rolling my eyes at the show where I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? But you can't help but get excited when we get the epic fights, and it just feels like Star Wars sometimes in this show, the storylines and things, and it's just fun to watch. Sometimes it is ridiculous watching 2 old men, doing kung fu and
karate,
not doing it very well. Yes, but I don't know. It's entertaining enough. I am wondering, are we getting to a point where this show's about over? Because I feel like it's too many more seasons. It might get a little long in the tooth, but I enjoyed it enough to include it in my top 10. My number 9. This is a show I did just watch all the way up to. So kind of like you did with What We Do in the Shadows, I guess. I watched this all the way up until Better Call Saul season 6 came out, and that's what I'm talking about is Better Call Saul. And then when season 6 came out, I watched it. So I had to include it in my list because I do agree this show is fantastic. It's a really good show. I tend to like, after watching it all, I think. What is the other show?
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, yes. I tend to like Breaking Bad a little bit better than this because there was long chunks of multiple seasons where I didn't care what was going on. When Saul's selling cell phones for it feels like 15 episodes, it's probably like 3, but I just wasn't interested. There were some characters I was way more interested in. It had nothing to do with Saul whatsoever. And so for that, it's just not my favorite. And then same with this last season. I loved everything up to a certain point. Then the mid-season break happens, and that should have been the end because the last 3 or 4 episodes are it's just dragging it out. And there was a lot of pointless cameos in the last season that I did not like. But I loved the show. It was a good show. Big Easy was right again. It was a good show. Definitely worth watching. And I'm interested to see, because these guys that created this, that had created Breaking Bad, I'm wondering what we're doing next. And I'm interested to see it. My number 8 is Ozark. This was the final season of the very popular show starring Jason Bateman. He is a money launderer in this show, and a lot of stuff had happened up to this final season. It takes place in the Ozarks in Missouri. It's very, very good. There is this young actress, I'm blanking on her name, blonde curly hair. She's fantastic. She really steals the show from Jason Bateman. And a lot of people don't like how her character was handled in the last season, but I thought it was pretty well done. It was well enough. I've seen much worse endings of shows, like Better Call Saul. So I loved Ozark. I thought it was a good enough ending. Jason Bateman's great. I think it had 4 seasons was plenty for this show. It's dark. It's one of those shows that I think you should watch. That I think you would like. It's basically Better Call Saul, but with Jason Bateman in it. My number 7, Rings of Power. I quite enjoy Lord of the Rings. I like 2 of the Hobbit movies. And so I was kind of going in with mixed emotions on Rings of Power, and I will say I watched the first 2 episodes and I was pretty much like, I don't know if I want to watch this show. I think most people were like that. But went back, watched the final 6 all in a row, and it is quite good. It's definitely one of those shows that gets better the further you go along in it. Now I can't wait to see what they do next. I'm starting to get into the characters, so it's one of the ones that's takes a little bit to get into, but once you get into it, especially if you like Lord of the Rings, you're going to like this show. But yeah, I had fun with Rings of the Power. My number 6 is The Boys, like you were talking about earlier. This is the 3rd season of The Boys. I'll agree, I think I like the 2nd season better than this one.
No, I like
this one better than the 2nd season, yes. The 2nd season, yeah, this one's better than the 2nd season. It's got Homelander. That's the guy's name. I was sitting here thinking,
Homelander's the Superman. I think it's the Captain America one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember what his name is. Homelander is the one that he steals the whole show for me a lot of times. He's like a villain that you want to know more about. And there's this whole scene in this season where he basically says, hey, I want to be loved. But, if I can't be loved, I'll take being feared as second. And he talks about how he'll just wipe everybody out. He'll hit all the nerve centers. And you were like, oh my God. It's got really good characters, and it is definitely a show where they're talking about what we would probably do if there were real superheroes in this world. We would market them and try and control them, and it's a pretty crazy story. It's overly vulgar at times, but it's another one of those shows. It's kind of like Cobra Kai for me, where how many more seasons are we going to do of this before? I feel like we're getting close to where we need to end it, but. I am still really enjoying it. It's one of them shows when it comes out, I just binge through it real quick. So, and that's my 10 through 6.
All right. Ozark. Never watched it. I don't know if I ever will. To be honest with you.
It's great.
The funniest part about The Boys, which I forgot about, but you reminded me of it, was whenever you have basically the Trump supporters, and I love that part.
The Nazis.
That killed me. I mean, that killed me. I was like, and that's probably why I remember liking it so much. All right, now it's time for my 10 through 6. My number 10 is The Sandman. I really, really enjoyed The Sandman. I was like, when I watched the first episode, I was like, I don't know. And then as the show goes along, I was like, man, this is pretty good. Like the episode with the one guy, he meets up with him every 50 years or 30 years or something. And I thought that was a really cool episode. I really liked, I just enjoyed The Sandman. I mean, it's such a great graphic novel by Neil Gaiman. And I'm curious to see what they do with the Lucifer storyline. As Gwendolyn Chrisley is playing Lucifer. That's very, very interesting. I love Sandman. I highly recommend checking it out if you've not seen it. My number 9 is Cobra Kai. I mean, this was probably, I agree with you, it is getting weaker. I didn't rewatch it as much as I was rewatching the other seasons of Cobra Kai. But it was fun watching Terry Silver being the Emperor Palpatine of the Karate Kid universe. I really like seeing Johnny and Daniel working more closer together. I like seeing Robbie kind of getting more of a redemption arc. And, I mean, I just really, really enjoyed this show. This show, for me, it's an easy binge. It's fun to watch. The characters are great. And, yeah, Cobra Kai kicks ass. My number 8 is Lord of the Rings: Rings of Power. I agree with you. First 2 episodes, I wanted to turn the show off and never watch it again. But then episode 3, when we went to Numenor, saved the show. When we go to Moria, that's great. When they create Mordor, that blew my mind. I was telling you, and I've told you this before, of that and the House of the Dragon, that was the best episode of both series. And I really love Lord of the Rings. I love where we're going to. There's such a great foundation in what we do in the future, and I'm glad that they've already started shooting, filming, and we will get the show next year. And unlike a certain show, unlike a certain show, I'm getting ready to talk about. My number 7 is House of the Dragon, and I really, really like House of the Dragon. I moved this. I had this a lot higher, but then I just think about it, there's some stuff. And maybe it's just because my aftertaste of Game of Thrones really affects my enjoyment of anything related to Game of Thrones. But I mean, there's some really cool stuff. I'm curious to see what the rest of the show really turns out. I'm hoping it's not a huge 6 or 7 or 8 seasons. I'm hoping this is a 3 more season, maybe even 2 more seasons. But there's some really cool stuff. I mean, as someone who's read the books and knows this story inside out, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing next season when we see the dragon coming in and you see Winterfell and you hear the classic Stark theme. We introduce Kragan Stark, who's one of the coolest Stark characters in the history of the show. I love House of Dragon. It's just, I have to push it down my list a little bit. My number 6 is Blackbird. And this is a story about Taron Egerton. He's a criminal who gets sent to prison, who works with the FBI and police to try to get a murder, to basically pin this guy for murder, who's played by the guy, Stingray from Cobra Kai.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Yes, he is absolutely creepy. He is amazing in this show. I mean, Taron Egerton is incredible. And this is based off a true story. Like, they changed certain characters' names in this, but this is absolutely based off the true story. And maybe it's because I like prison stuff, like Shawshank Redemption so much. I really, really enjoyed this. And watching as Taron Egerton, he's breaking down. And, whenever he's at the end, he's trying to hold in the cry after what Paul Walker Hauser told him of what some of the stuff he did, and it's like, and that's all you hear in the credits is the crying. And Blackbird is a show people should watch. It is such a good show. I recommend it.
You got me really interested in Blackbird. I never heard of that before. And what's that on?
Apple.
Yeah. I mean, everything on your 10 list except for Sandman. I don't remember. Remember that?
Did you not watch it?
No, I didn't watch it.
It's on Netflix.
It's just one. Neil Gaiman, he's the one that did the Gods, the
American Gods,
Yeah.
Good Omens. It's good. I'm telling you, it's really good.
I remember not liking American Gods.
So
I don't know.
it was viewed a lot on Netflix. I recommend checking it out.
All right, my number 5 is Andor. This is a Star Wars show. If you would have told me last year that I would have Andor on this list and not Obi-Wan, I would have called you crazy because I really wasn't even anticipating this very much. I like Rogue One. Every time I watch Rogue One, I like it a little bit more. And this is basically a prequel to the Andor character from Rogue One. But it's just really well done. There's things they do in the show that really I hope that people at Lucasfilm are really paying attention. I know Andor didn't get a ton of viewers, but we don't need to film everything in the volume stage. That's the first thing. We do not, because Obi-Wan, all these other shows, they look a little cheap, and there's just something to go in and film it on location that we really need to do, because it really helps Andor. But really, the characters are great in this. It's a slow burn show. It's a more mature show in the Star Wars universe, but it's just really dang good. And for somebody like me, who I love the Force in my Star Wars, I crave it. I am like, I must have the Force, and this has no Force characters. I don't want any Force characters in this show, and I'm fine with it. It's great. It's a really good. I don't think I have it as high up on the mantle. I still like the Mandalorian a little bit better, probably because of the Force characters, but I really did enjoy Andor, and I'm kind of sad we're only going to get one more season, and that's it. But I am looking forward to it. I can't wait to see K2SO.
We've already seen him.
Okay. No, we have not. Maybe. I mean, I guess he could have been in there, but all right. My number 4 is Peacemaker. This was probably my most shocking show of this, because I did really love this James Gunn Suicide Squad. But Peacemaker, he was fine, I guess. I was like, in James Cena or John Cena, not really my favorite actor on the planet, and so I went into this show. This was one of the first show I watched this year, and it kind of blew me away. It's so good. They give so much heart to this character that you really just don't care about at the beginning, and all the side characters are really funny. It's got a really interesting story. I know the DCEU is in shambles right now, and maybe Peacemaker won't make the cut, but since James Gunn's in charge, I have a feeling it will. And so I enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun with it, and I'm interested to see what they do with the season 2 of it. And I mean, these characters that I don't really care about, I care about now. So number 3. Another show that kind of came out of nowhere. I think you were talking it up to me. I didn't watch this till like June, and I went back and it came out in like January or February.
I was having a new season of it.
Yeah, Legend of Vox Machina fucking blew me away. I had just watched this right after I'd watched Arcane, which was one of my favorite shows. I think it was my favorite show last year, and I mean, it's up there with Arcane for me. Like it's just the characters. I fell in love with them. Is the animation not as good as Arcane? Sure. Is some of the storylines a little not as good? Yeah, but the characters are, and it's funny, and I can't wait to see the new season. I didn't realize it was so close. Now you got me excited. I really liked The Legend of Vox Machina. And this is based off of like a podcast of people playing Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, come on. And they self-funded this show. Crazy.
Well, fan-funded.
Fan-funded it, yeah. And number 2, Stranger Things. Season 4. Surprised this isn't my number 1, because I love Stranger Things. It's my favorite show on Netflix, still is. But I will say, I think I listened to the creators of the show a little too much, because they were talking about how there's going to be a dark ending and all these people were going to die, and no one really dies. They kind of rinse and repeated the same thing they've done previously. But I can't remember her name here. The redhead girl, Sadie Sink. Amazing. Kind of almost steals the show from 11 for a lot of the show. There's a season or an episode in this season.
Max.
Max, yeah, she's so good in it, and it's just really good. And we got one season left, and it's gonna be a sad day for some of us. It's gonna be a happy day for some of us. But I love the show. The Duffer Brothers created something really cool here, and it'll be sad to see it go. And I mean, it's kind of like almost like Star Wars, where he's created these child actors are going to go on to do bigger and better things. Some of them already are, and I'm interested to see. And I hope we don't get a disappointing finale. But yeah, that's my 5 through 2.
All right, I mean, Peacemaker. I enjoyed Peacemaker. Didn't make the cut. Legend of Vox Machina. I'm proud of you. You actually listened to me. This is what happens when you listen to me.
A lot of these shows really are ones that recommend. Cobra Kai, I wouldn't have never watched.
Yeah. So Stranger Things. I thought the episodes were a little too long. I think they were trying to make it too much of a movie at times, and I really didn't like majority of the storylines. So, like, I didn't like the 11 storyline. I love the stuff going on in
Russia.
No, in the main part of the story.
You didn't like the Russia stuff?
No, I didn't like the Russian stuff.
That's some of my favorite stuff.
So I just felt like that was just. I was like, he's in. Whatever that guy's name is. He was in prison. What's that guy's name?
David Harbour.
Okay. And I just didn't really need it. So Eddie, though, that was the character. I mean, I bought my first Stranger Things t-shirts, and that's how much I like that character. So, but yeah. All right, my number 5. This show blew my mind, and that was Star Trek Strange New World, because every episode's its own story. It's very familiar to original Star Trek. We're bringing in Captain Pike, we're bringing in Spock, we're bringing in Uhura from the original series, as she's just an ensign. This show is, if you like sci-fi, if you like Star Trek, you will love this show. The last episode of season 1 was a remake, but instead of Kirk being the captain, it shows us what happened if Pike had stayed the captain. It is some of the coolest sci-fi stuff you will ever watch. Like I said, this was for when all the nerdy shows were going on with Star Wars and Marvel. I was like, Star Trek Strange New World is the best nerd show of the year so far. Unfortunately, one show blew my mind even more than Star Trek did, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. My number 4 is Pachinko, which is an Apple Plus series. It's about this Korean family. This woman, she gets pregnant in the 1920s or 30s or something, and she has to move from Korea to Japan. And then it jumps into the future in the 1980s, I believe, where it shows this the son who is trying to make it as a businessman, and it's just such a good show. Like, there are so many great stuff. It's based off a book series. I actually saw the guy who the one that plays the younger guy in Hamilton when I went to New York last year. He plays Aaron Burr. It is such a good show. I highly recommend checking it out. It is subtitled. There's a lot of Korean, and like, it's cool because they'll show like the Korean in yellow, and then they'll show the Japanese in blue, and there's a little English in the show as well. My number 3 is Winning Time: The Rise of the Laker Dynasty. It has John C. Reilly, who plays as Walter Buss, in there. It goes into when the NBA became the NBA with Magic Johnson, and it had Larry Bird. Adrian Brody plays as Pat Riley, and he's amazing in the show. If you like basketball, or if you like the history of basketball, about how the rivalry between Bird and Johnson really made the NBA, it's such a good show. It's so good. I recommend checking it out. My number 2 is, I think, the best Star Wars show ever made. Might be the best thing Star Wars has made since Empire Strikes Back. And that is Andor. I think Andor, there are so many great beats that Andor hits. There's the Ocean's 11. There's the heist. then it becomes Shawshank Redemption. When Andy Serkis, like, he doesn't need to be a motion capture actor ever again, because he is so good in his show. Like, I was like, I'm glad we finally got to watch Andy Serkis in a good Star Wars project, because he is absolutely amazing in his show. I mean, whenever he's giving that speech, I felt like I was watching Planet of the Apes again, with Caesar giving those speeches. And in the ending, I mean, with the rebellion, I mean, that final episode, every episode you're like, the show can't top itself. And then the last episode happens, and you're great. And then Stellan Skarsgård, I believe that's his first name, is Skarsgård, that speech and everything he says, everything I sacrifice. I mean, you're just like, oh my god, this is like one of the greatest Star Wars characters they've ever created. I mean, and I think another reason why Andor succeeds as much as Andor does, it's because we have a 12-episode season. We can actually make a TV show. We can't. We need more than an episode. We need more than an episode. And oh no, let's just see what the Mandalorian's doing. And then I'm like, oh no, we're not gonna show Boba Fett again. We're gonna. I mean, come on. Andor is 12 episodes. We get to completely flesh out his character. And then there's some great cameos from Rogue One in Andor. I love Andor. It is amazing. I'm looking forward to see how it ends, whenever that is. Because I mean, I'm fine waiting an extra year for it. That's fine. So yeah, that's my 5 through 2.
I like it all. You're right. What if what's his name is playing the beginnings of Snoke? What if his character actually is Snoke?
No.
It'd be stupid.
It would be.
But, you know. The Laker thing, is that a documentary or like an actual show?
It's a live action show.
Huh. Interesting. All right, well, my number one, the aforementioned, way too up on his list, House of the Dragon. I freaking love this show. This was the only show this year where, and that's just, I used to do this with with Game of Thrones too, is where an episode would come out and I would immediately want to rewatch the episode again. That's how much I love this show. It's fantastic. I too have a bad taste in my mouth from the end of Game of Thrones. And after this was over, I went back and rewatched all of Game of Thrones, and it was so hard watching that last season, particularly the episode from the White Walkers on. It's just awful. But this show really has nothing to do with that, and they're doing it right. It immediately gets you invested in the characters. I am not Team Green, FYI. I do not like Alicent, but I get all the characters are making, they're all playing the Game of Thrones, and it's a good fantasy show, done well. The music, the characters, everything blew me away. I was so close. Kia had to force me, my daughter, to put it back. They have it at Walmart right now, House of the Dragon in 4K in a fancy little steel book for $60. I wanted it so bad. But I put it back up because I was like, I have HBO Max. I can watch these whenever I want, but, it was hard. I probably will go back and get it one day. But, yeah, I loved House of the Dragon. I know it's not as high up on your list.
And listen, ours and it fell down. I rewatched it. I didn't love it as much as I did when I originally watched it.
I fucking loved it. And I will definitely, 100%, I know we got like a year and a half till the new season comes out, but when we get close to that, I'll be rewatching the first season again to get ready for it.
So for me, my number one show, and really, I think Andor probably is my favorite show of the year.
Oh.
But my number one show is Better Call Saul, because I think Better Call Saul is a perfect ending to an amazing TV show. I think the ending of Better Call Saul is a masterpiece. And there was like one episode of Better Call Saul this season I didn't absolutely love, and I get people's complaints of it, But once you get past that, I really don't have a problem with the show.
What one are we talking about? The mall one?
Yes.
Yeah, I could not stand that.
So, but even that though, I mean, I enjoy it because it's. I mean, it's just, and it was cool seeing stuff in the post Breaking Bad stuff. I love seeing stuff shoot in black and white. I think that's great. The trial, and then whenever the whole show, the whole point of Breaking Bad or a Better Call Saul, is the whole show was Jimmy becoming Saul, but then the ending, it was Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould. They're like, this is the show about Saul becoming Jimmy again. And for me, it's so hard. It's so hard. It is so hard to end a good TV show. And Better Call Saul knocked it out of the park. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. I love the ending of Better Call Saul. The final ending with him and Kim and how he apologizes to her. And I was like, my God, this character, it's just great. I mean, he's not a murderer. He doesn't do the same things that Walter White did at the ending, and that's just such a good story, right? Because they could have easily had him go on a murder spree or try to save himself. But that's not who he is. He's a talker. That's how he does it. And like I said, Better Call Saul is a perfect ending to a show that I can argue it's better than Breaking Bad. I don't think I can, but Better Call Saul is easily in my top 10 TV shows of all time. So, yeah, Better Call Saul. This year, TV, I watch a lot of TV shows. He's right. I watch a lot of TV this year, and I'm glad of it. Alright, guys, that is another top 10 video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Remember, if you want to check out more top 10, you can check out our video yesterday. We talked about our top 10 movies of the year. And tomorrow we'll be releasing, or whenever this comes out, will be our top 10 anticipated movies of 2023. So guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button, subscribe to see more, and tell your friends about Easy Nation.
Peace out.
All too easy.